Hey folks, today we're taking a look at something that's actually completely new to me. Well, unless we go back to the days of the Commodore Amiga, but that's a rabbit hole we're just not going to get into at the moment. I'm of course talking about mechanical keyboards, which despite being replaced worldwide by cheaper and quieter membrane keyboards for the majority of mainstream users, they're still actually held up as being the enthusiast's choice, and I wanted to check this out while not wanting to spend a lot of money. So I went online and ordered up the cheapest fully mechanical keyboard with RGB, because YOLO, to try out. At £26 including shipping, this Drevo Calibur is going to be the focus of today's video, and boy was it £26 well spent. Kicking things off, this keyboard is a rather interesting design, as it's even smaller than the usual 10 keyless keyboards, and can be used as a wireless keyboard via Bluetooth, or a wired keyboard just like any other. The Calibur Mechanical Keyboard, it comes in a pretty plain box. It's not much larger than the keyboard itself, and to be perfectly honest with you, it surprised me just how small the overall package was. On the front there's only two logos, a Drevo logo and in the bottom corner a Calibur logo, but that's about it. Opening up the box, well, we only get two peripherals here, a key remover and the USB charging cable, which also doubles up as the wired connection for the keyboard. The keyboard itself is packaged nicely, and underneath it there's a user's manual. With the black keyboard I've bought, I got a black USB cable, but the keyboard also comes in white, and thankfully that comes with a white cable. When you first pull the keyboard out of that protective bag, you're probably only then going to finally appreciate just how small it actually is. The B-roll here just does not do the size any justice. The keyboard's official dimensions are about 350mm by 100 and about 36mm deep, and it weighs in at just under 600 grams. As I mentioned, the keyboard is even smaller than a usual 10 keyless keyboard, and that's thanks to merging the function row and the number row into one. The keyboard, it has some nice weight to it, but it doesn't feel £26 worth, it feels much more expensive, and there's no flex on the chassis at all. Just to check we've not been totally ripped off, we removed the keycaps, and we do actually have true mechanical switches here, which are of the blue variety, but Drevo does offer the keyboard in black, brown and red versions as well, although most listings I found online seem to be offering the default blue, and they're not actually replaceable once you've bought the keyboard. The switches are actually Otemu switches, which are generally seen as, I guess, the lower cost alternative to Cherry's MX mechanical switches. Now, as I've told you, this is my first mechanical keyboard, but playing around with it, I guess the correct way to describe it would be a nice tactile bump, which is actually really pleasant to type on, and it does have a fairly loud audible click. Although I've snuck it into the office over the last few days and I've not had any complaints. Yet. The whole construction of the keyboard, including the keycaps, it just belittles the price that it actually was. It feels so much more expensive. The keycaps, for example, these are not just your usual ABS keycaps, which I've got on my stock office keyboard as well as a budget gaming keyboard that I've been using for the past year. But the keys here are the more durable PBT caps, and you can certainly tell the difference with the weight of the keys compared to the cheapo plastic ABS that so many of these cheap gaming keyboards come with. Flipping the keyboard over, and you can see we've got 6 rubber feet to keep the caliber in place when you're gaming, and there's also 2 pop-out feet which gives you a much better angle for typing. There's also a small switch on the back of this keyboard, and that is just the switch between the USB mode and the Bluetooth mode, which works perfectly fine with my laptop, the 1200mAh battery promising 2 weeks on standby time on a 2-hour charge. The Calibur, as you've probably noticed by this B-roll, is a full RGB keyboard, and I've got to say that the lighting is actually pretty impressive. You can set every single key on the keyboard to either red, green, blue, purple, yellow, cyan, white, or indeed off, and there's 5 different brightness settings. And to enable the full backlight mode and switch between the colours of your choice, you just simply have to hold down the function and press the delete keys. You've also got the ability to individually set up any keys you want, and that's before we even get on to talk about the included modes, which are predetermined, pre-programmed LED RGB. Well, you've seen it 1,000 times, you know what an RGB keyboard looks like when it's going all fancy. We've got 7 different modes to choose from here: a snake marquee, a ripple mode, a wave mode, breathing mode, reactive mode, aura mode, or advanced reactive mode. All of which basically do what they say. It's just different pre-programmed effect, and to be perfectly honest with you, the amount of customizability we've got here, all the combinations, the brightness and those pre-programmed settings, you should quite easily be able to find something to suit your taste. There is no syncing with third-party software, however, so if you've got an Asus Aura motherboard or a MSI Mystic Lite, you're not going to be able to control it through that. But Drevo did just release some software at the end of August, which makes setting up these light modes just a little bit easier. And if you'd like a little bit more in-depth look at that software, be sure to leave a comment and I'll look into it. It's currently only at version 1.0 and it's only been out for a few weeks, but it's pretty solid as it stands. So I've been using this Calibur for a few days now, and I've got to say, it's quite possibly one of my favourite keyboards that I've ever used, and without a doubt it's going to be replacing that bargain basement OEM keyboard at work, and I'll probably get another one for the office at home as well. The biggest reason, it just has to be the feel of this keyboard. The keycaps are a real winner here, and they just feel so much more premium than the cheap ABS keycaps that I've been used to. It's honestly something that I never expected to say, but it is like night and day typing on this cheap mechanical keyboard and then going back onto an old membrane keyboard. And I've truly been converted to mechanical keyboards for not just gaming but also for everyday use. One thing that was perhaps a concern was the size of the keyboard. It's certainly the smallest keyboard I've ever used for daily use. And while it does take a little bit of time to get used to, after just half a day in the office, it would mean like I'd been using it all my days. The backlighting on the keyboard is good and all the effects, well, they're really nice. And now that it's got some software to go along with it that makes programming everything just a little bit easier, it just adds an extra layer of simplicity to the whole package. And me coming from the cheaper £10 gaming feel membrane keyboard, I honestly cannot recommend the Drevo Calibur highly enough. It feels such a step up for me, coming from the usual budget keyboards that I've been used to, and it's certainly been worth the gamble. And at the end of the day, when a product does absolutely everything it says on the tin, but to levels that are much higher than its price point would suggest, it's really hard not to recommend it wholeheartedly. I'm not going to say throw away your £200 big brand keyboard though, this keyboard obviously isn't aimed at you, but if you want a low cost excuse to try out mechanical keyboards, then it'd even double what I paid for it. This would still be an absolute steal. So as you can probably tell, I'm hugely impressed by this keyboard, and it was kind of a throwaway purchase for me when I was scanning eBay at the weekend, and that's the kind of purchases I love. I love it when you buy something on a whim and then it turns out to be something that you wish you had many years ago. But I'd love to hear what budget products you guys have been surprised by, and if any of you have or have considered this Drevo Calibur, and also what you think of mechanical keyboards in general. But in the meantime folks, I'm just going to say take care, and I'll see you all in the comment section down below, and in the next video.